In overcoming the final deadly sin of wrath, will Matt Murdock inadvertently end up changing his life and the lives of those around him? Well, let's hop into the pages of Daredevil issue number 15 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, the demonic embodiment of Wrath, who is currently possessing the body of Jason, one of Father Matt's young wards had taken a hostage Matt Murdock's most beloved friend in the form of Foggy Nelson and his most hated foe in the form of Bullseye. What follows is an oh-so-classic comic book impossible choice. Wrath is going to kill one of them, a sacrifice to its greatness, and Matt can only choose to save one. Of course, Daredevil finds this whole impossible choice thing incredibly stupid and as such decides to drop kick the spirit of Wrath just for good measure. Unfortunately, this doesn't end up doing anything at all. Sadly, it's only right here at the very end does Daredevil come to the very grim realization of what exactly is going on here. You can't beat Wrath with more wrath. You can't exorcise this sort of demon with violence, and unlike his Hail Mary play against Pride in the last issue, you can't cheat him out of any blood either. In fact, in his internal monologue, Matt really ends up thinking reflectively about his life and his decisions and what brought him to this very moment. He was able to vanquish all those other sins because they were not as nearly embedded in his personality as Wrath is, but Matt Murdock has always felt angry since his father's death coming up in Hell's Kitchen. Anger, rage, and wrath have always been his friend, the thing that could push him forward, the thing he could always count on. And now the demon of wrath has gone out of its way to turn this personal failing on Matt completely. Daredevil fights valiantly for a while, but unfortunately the impossible test is restaged anyway. Bullseye and Foggy are dropped, and Matt is indeed forced to make his final choice. He throws a rope for Bullseye, but understandably goes to save the life of Foggy instead. In his internal monologue, Matt says if he was truly a man of God, maybe he would have made another choice. Maybe he would have found the ultimate winning scenario wherein both could live. He further justifies his actions by saying that Bullseye is superhuman and has survived multiple brushes with death in the past. Who's to say he won't survive this time, only to smash cut directly to Bullseye hitting the pavement with a sickening wet thud. I actually really love the way this image is rendered too, as we get to see it in Daredevil's radar vision with an entire audible pulse irradiating from the impact. It's really effective. With that, the threat of wrath has finally ended. The devil leaves and returns back to hell, not forced there like all the other deadly sins. In this case, the devil left because, well, the devil got his due. Wrath won the day. And what point was it that he was trying to prove? Well, that Matt Murdock is indeed a sinful man after all, and should he die, his soul will be bound for hell once more. So yeah, the day is saved and the threat is ended, but this is most certainly not a happy victory. Foggy tries his hardest to comfort Matt in his choice, saying that Bullseye was one of the worst people ever to walk the earth, but still, Foggy won't be able to shake the feeling that he is only alive right now because someone else had to die. And once again, Matt is horribly crushed. Even when he tries to do right, he ends up doing wrong and putting more weight on his poor friend's shoulder, a friend who he only just recently reconciled with again after pushing away for so long. Daredevil hopes to find solace in the waiting arms of Elektra, but unfortunately it seems like that ship has sailed. There's been so much said and done between these two since Matt's resurrection, and honestly, Elektra just can't have her heart played with anymore, and I mean, honestly, I can't blame her. They really do strike me as that tragically fated couple who is always meant to be together, but never exactly meant to be. This also means Matt is forced to ask the very uncomfortable question of whether or not Elektra will see fit to continue to fund St. Nicholas's orphanage. You know, now that they're not really an item, and now that she's not looking out for him as much anymore. Surprise, surprise, though, Elektra ends up dropping a major bomb on Matt, and that is she doesn't actually need to fund the orphanage anymore, because get this. After the Kingpin Wilson Fisk had his own run-in being possessed by the demonic embodiment of greed, he has seemingly completely changed his ways, found religion, and liquidated all of his own personal wealth, giving the bulk of the money to, you guessed it, St. Nicholas. Before eventually just disappearing into the ether. Oh man, I can only imagine it's going to be huge when we see him again. Now, Matt might not have been able to make things 100% right with Elektra, but he doesn't want to leave Foggy Father Javi and all the kids at St. Nicholas hanging. And as such, he goes to say his goodbyes and his sorries. He apologizes for not being the man that he needed them to be, for up and leaving them with no explanation, and especially for putting all of their lives in danger. A lot of the kids end up icing him out, and I mean, can you blame them? They've come from some really bad situations, and Matt is now just another adult in their lives they can't trust. But one of the kids actually takes mercy on poor Matt and ends up leaving him with some kind words. In fact, words that Matt himself had taught to her, that when you try your best, you never really fail. And that indeed, Father Matt, or just Matt Murdock, depending on who he is this week, did indeed fail. His heart was ultimately in the right place, and he did try his best. Matt holds on to these words and vows to live up to them. He will indeed continue trying for whatever the next chapter in his life will end up being as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Daredevil issue number 15, everybody, and man, it really does feel like Saladin Ahmed closing a page on this era of Daredevil before promising to start something completely new in the next arc. And honestly, not just closing a page on his own work too, so much of this Saladin Ahmed run has been running with the balls that were left behind from the Chip Zdarsky era, while also spinning his own tale about these 7 deadly sins who have come to punish Matt for escaping hell. And you know what, I kinda like the bittersweet ending to all of this. Matt was able to banish 6 of the 7 deadly sins, but Wrath still kinda got the better of him in the end. Not just got the better of him, but actually gave him quite the dressing down too, saying that Daredevil's own personal brand of wrath is born from fear, despite being called the man without fear. Matt Murdock actually fears a lot, fears failure, fears being alone. And why yes, even fears for his own mortal soul. I'll actually be interested to see what Saladin Ahmed does with this revelation moving forward. How will Matt end up finding his redemption? Will he end up getting a round 2 with Wrath and win this time? I don't know. The next arc really has me intrigued. It looks like it's something completely different. That issue drops this week, and the cover features Matt Murdock back in his old armored look from the 90s. Overall, though, I think I'd give this issue a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe not the perfect ending I was hoping for. It's one I'm probably going to have to chew on and think about for a bit. But to the creative team's credit, it was unique. I liked what they did here, and I like how it bucks a lot of trends in superhero comics. Daredevil's maybe one of the only superheroes on the shelf that the powers that be actually allowed to have downer endings anymore with real complex stakes. And honestly, part of the fun of reading Daredevil comics is seeing how he gets beaten down, seeing how he gets his life ruined, but how he doesn't give up and how he claws his way back and ultimately rebuilds year after year. And I'll be happy to see if the next chapter of this Saladin Ahmed series keeps this proud tradition going. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.